All right. Hey, everyone. It's been a while, I know. This is slightly off topic. I'm here with my co-host, Josh.
Hello.
And we have a special guest, Bradford Burdick.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so we're going to speak about the 2018 Oscar-nominated films because the Oscars are happening this Sunday at 7. So let's get to it, starting with Best Picture.
Yeah, we're just gonna do a slight kind of run through here, but mostly we're just gonna talk about what we thought about these, about these movies this year, and how we felt about generally the whole thing, and we're gonna go through the categories and stuff. But yeah, the Best Picture is where we're gonna start. So we have quite a few nominees this year. 9.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder why not. If you're already at 9, why not just do 10?
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. Yeah, because they've done it before in the past, and they made
have.
like their own rules and some. Like I remember there was a year or like maybe 2 where foreign films, purely foreign, not American, no connection to an American production, were in the Best Picture category. So I just don't understand how they do this.
There was like 2012, I think, with Amore.
Yeah,
and the other. Yeah,
I don't
know,
get it.
and I haven't followed it really closely, but I think that the sort of voting process and all that stuff has changed.
I just saw
time
something
and again.
actually. I just saw last night that there was a Vanity Fair video on that specifically, where it used to be that the way the movies that they would choose would be like this automatically, like the sweeping epic films, like in the 50s and in the 60s,
like
I think 70s.
Gone with the Wind's 3
Yeah,
epics.
yeah, and then it would be like the Godfather, like the crime mob boss movies, and then things have changed since film festivals, and they were talking about how the 5 most important ones are Cannes, Telluride, Venice, and I thought it was going to be Tribeca. It's not Tribeca. It's the Toronto International Film Festival.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Tip's huge.
Yeah.
And then that's where like
Suck it.
everyone really, yeah. Oh yeah, Josh is Canadian. Everyone.
I'm from the 6, boys.
Represent.
Coming out.
And so
Tip is fucking annoying, actually.
It's the most accessible one, though.
Yeah, it's really big.
Like, that's
It's really
what
big.
they were talking
And a
about the
lot of people
last
show
year,
up for it.
2016. They had, they checked it out, and I think it was like almost 80,000 people
Wow.
attended. It's just a lot.
Fuckload of celebrities too.
Yeah,
I think it's because they make it accessible. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
But
Cool. So, what do you guys think? What's going to win Best Picture?
okay. I have thoughts about that in general. First of all, I think it's important to not think about this in a vacuum. Like, we have to remember that what year this is, right, and what has been happening and all that shit.
Sure.
So I think something that's really important with the whole Best Picture nominations and who's going to win and all that is to remember that this is, often pretty political and not really necessarily merit-based.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of hard for me to pick what's going to win. Personally, I personally I haven't seen them all, but from everything that I've seen this year, which is Darkest Hour, Lady Bird, The Shape of Water, and there was one more. No, those are the 3 that I've seen actually of these ones. So I haven't seen that many, but I haven't been that impressed, to be honest.
I agree with that. I think overall last year I was much more invested. I loved La La Land. I know that's become kind of divisive. People either love it or hate it, but that's probably in like my all-time top 10 favorite films. So
I still haven't seen it. I didn't bother. I just had no interest.
I think it did kind of, as often happens, it kind of suffered from being hyped up. And so, it was a letdown to some people, but I loved it. Anyway, overall last year I was much more invested.
Exactly. It felt like there were power punches last year. You know what I mean? Moonlight was amazing. Even La La Land, I didn't watch it, but I could tell the quality of film that is being presented. You know what I mean?
Right. Whether it was your taste or
kid
not.
shit. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This year it just felt like we're kind of getting like consolation prize. Like it feels like everything this year is trying to make the same point. You know what I mean? Which is come together, stop being a dick. And while that's a very good thing, to have that be every story is kind of frustrating. I actually found Lady Bird to be really refreshing in that regard because it was sort of just a pure personal story about one person, but it's a universal sort of grow up story. Like you have at some
Coming
point
of
you have to
age.
it's a coming of age, but at some point you have to decide, okay, I can't be fucking Lady Bird. I have to be a real person,
Sure.
right? So I thought that was what was interesting, and it was I felt well written, and personally I hope that something like Lady Bird or Call Me by Your Name, because talented actors are in them, and power performances, and they look really gorgeous and all of that stuff, win. But I would not be surprised if The Shape of Water won, simply because of the political climate.
I agree with that.
I was gonna say that too, because I feel like every year they kind of with last year it was a hashtag Oscar so white, and so I feel like that was the reason Moonlight. Even though I thought Moonlight was amazing.
Oh, you
but
mean
I feel
like 2 years
Yeah,
ago?
or what was
Yeah.
it? No, yeah, it was actually that. Wasn't it that
That was
year?
last year.
No,
Yeah, it was last year that Moonlight won.
That was
that it won, but it was the year before that.
That it was hashtag Oscar so white.
the backlash
Yeah, yeah.
for all the
Okay.
white. Yeah.
And so it was. I don't know, but like, Guillermo del Toro is Mexican, Canadian,
Yeah.
a bunch of other races, and there's also been sort of like since the Emmys this year, this whole backlash against Trump and his building a wall and all that
Since the
stuff.
Emmys,
Well,
since,
no,
like,
I mean, but
since
no,
the
no.
inception.
I mean,
that's
in
kind
this-
of what I'm saying.
No,
is that
but I mean, like in award season, it was the first award season, like or award show that said something about it, and like the actors made a stand.
Definitely,
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I feel like because of that, it might be the winner. And like, yeah, it's out of all the movies I didn't watch. Dunkirk, so I think that might be more essentially cinematic looking because of like 70 millimeter and all that stuff.
So you think the main strength of Shape of Water is that it's directly sort of opposed to this build a wall anti.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It like the movie is about equality. It's about
Sure.
like,
its main strength, in my opinion, is its theme,
And-
which
and also-
which is love transcends the most
racism.
It can transcend like species.
Literally,
It's the most transcendent emotion,
And
right?
so-
Rather than something like fear or something like that. And that's the whole point. Abandon fear. That's the point of the film, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I feel like they might be like, as just messaging, the Oscars might go, hey, all these other movies are really fucking good, but the world needs Shape of Water right now. You know what I mean?
Right,
like they feel
right.
like they have this sort of like guiding.
the antidote. or
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
also the Oscars always, everyone knows this, they always like movies that are about movies or movies that are very like they look a certain way. And out of all of the movies that I've seen, at least I didn't watch Dunkirk. I think that'd be the only one that I would say might rival it. It's the one that looks the most cinematic. It has so many homages to so many other types of films. The coloring, the
Golden
the
Age,
sets, like all those things. So like I feel
Nostalgia.
like that would happen. What I think is gonna maybe not help the situation is that now that there's this big issue where someone, I think some playwright's estate is accusing Guillermo del Toro of plagiarizing parts of the story. And also now
it's gonna get buried.
When I saw the trailer, I remember like whatever it was like at this point it was like a year ago. I remember the coloring looked very familiar to like a French director that like there was a direct duo I think Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and like a lot of his movies Amélie and Micmacs they look very similar, like the color scheme,
palette,
and the palette and
But
so
I think that's
now
art though.
he actually went out and said that he thinks that Guillermo del Toro stole a scene from his movie. So it's like,
I think
it's
he's
really
just
sad.
kind of grasping. I don't think that.
Yeah, no, really.
Salt deposits are pretty high.
And I mean, as amazing as he is, he hasn't made anything in the last like 7 years. So I don't know if
that
that's
is huge.
another issue.
And Guillermo del Toro's made how many things in the last 7 years?
He also, I mean, he seems like a really good dude. I think it's my impression is
Guillermo del Toro?
my impression is he's really well liked in Hollywood. He's like a
like if some sexual assault thing came out about him, I would be so shocked.
Devastated.
I would be so shocked.
Yeah.
It's like Kevin Smith. We were talking about this the other night because Kevin Smith almost died. Fucking
the heart attack.
fucking one-ups for Kevin Smith. Or pour one out for him. Fucking hell, man. Holy shit. But we were talking. I was like, yeah, man, that's one of those guys that I'd feel really terrible if something bad happened.
All right, so I think that the points you make about Shape of Water and Dunkirk are definitely accurate. But I think if you were to select something in the Best Picture category that was like a direct response to Trump, I think it would be The Post. because of
That's
its
true.
themes about,
Yes.
Nixon era, we need to keep the president in check,
Mm-hmm.
you can't limit the free press, all of that.
I haven't seen that one, but it does have power players too.
However, I back like when I saw it a few months ago, I felt like it was really pulling ahead as a front runner. But I don't know. It seems like the energy has definitely shifted towards Shape of Water at
Your
this
Shape of
point.
Water.
I mean,
Call by
everyone.
names,
I know
stuff like
everyone
that.
that saw the post said it was a good movie, but no one has actually said that it's like
You need to see
yeah.
it.
Well,
Well,
if anything, it's just like an important movie, but it wasn't fully directed to its potential or what. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
it's interesting. Like I noticed a difference, a big difference generationally as far as how people reacted to it. I mean, like I saw it at some random like matinee on a Sunday, right? And so it was like my wife and I were among the youngest people, and then the majority of the people there were people who lived through that time.
Yeah, I wanted to see.
And they were all like blown away. They're like, yes, this is how it should be. Our president should see this. They were really fired up.
Yeah.
But my wife and I were kind of like, okay, yeah, that was a good movie, but like we definitely were not blown away. And maybe that is because we didn't live through it. But for me, I just didn't feel like I was really impressed by I thought the overall theme was better than the
Movie
movie
itself.
itself.
Yeah.
And it was famously like
I heard also that there was like a weird thing where like they talk. I don't know which of the actors, but someone in the movie comes in like a half hour to 40 minutes later. Is that true, or is that just like a BS rumor?
yes, that is true.
Okay.
He ends up being like a major player. What's his name from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul?
Oh yeah,
I think that's
can't
what you're
remember his name.
thinking.
Oh,
He's
Saul?
fantastic. Yeah,
The guy who plays Saul.
Yeah.
Bob Oaken. Something.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it is weird. He's kind of like in the background, and then all of a sudden he like has the government secrets, which is funny,
Oh,
and he
interesting.
becomes a major part of the plot. But really, what it was for me was, here's Meryl Streep, who's always great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get
I'm
it.
so tired of her.
Tom Hanks, who's always great.
Mm-hmm.
But I could never really forget that I was watching Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. You know what I mean? Like it kind of took me out of it, but like here
sucks.
we are like watching them do what they do best,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it's like it stops you from getting really immersed in it.
That's terrible.
And also like
You start watching them act.
exactly.
Rather than just enjoying the scene. Yeah, I
Exactly.
gotcha.
And also, her name escapes me. I think it's Vaughn. She's, supposed to play the head of the Washington Post, and she's supposed to be like this kind of shining beacon of feminism, I guess. But I remember being disappointed at one point during the movie when I learned like she had been in her position for something like a decade. And here, in the events of the movie, is just when she's beginning to like speak up, and say, "Well, actually, sir, I think we should do this." And you guys have been, stepping on my toes for far too long. And I was actually more inspired by some of the more minor female characters. Like there's a scene where, kind of just in the background, where a female reporter says, "I don't want any more stories about fashion or, shoes and stuff like that." And I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there's some kind of heavy-handed moments where like there's a scene when Meryl Streep walks out of the courthouse where they've just decided that the Post can publish, and there's like a line of young women who are just waiting for her to come out and admiring her, and I was like, really? I don't know if that's how it went down.
Yeah, man. Well, to that point, I feel like this year, and again, that's how I started this thing. This year has been full of that heavy-handed shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, God, Darkest Hour. I like that movie. It was interesting to
Sure.
watch. Gary Oldman did a really good job, but fuck, man, that
Oh,
movie was
yeah.
basically like, what do we not want Donald Trump to be? And then they wrote that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
scene.
yeah.
I remember I was talking to a woman who had just seen it, and the scene where he goes into the subway and he's talking to the citizens.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, "Do you think that really happened?" I was like, "Listen, knowing Winston Churchill, it's entirely possible because that guy did not give a fuck. But at the same time, that was so clearly like just
written in.
Just like leadership porn, you know what I mean? It's like,
Mm.
oh my god, look how much he cares about them.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but he oversaw like it's a lot of ignoring bad things about people so that we can pretend that they were perfect after the fact to like highlight how terrible things are right now. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sure.
dude, Winston Churchill was fucking awful. He presided over like fire bombings of Berlin and Dresden and all these things, and like he led to the famine in India. Like all these things happen, and we forget them because when the times really, really mattered, that guy just happened to do the right thing in those moments. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's okay. And I enjoyed the movie, I enjoyed the performance. But yeah, I felt like I was getting beaten over the head with a stick a lot of the time when I was watching these films. Just movies in general this year, that's kind of how it felt. You know what
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up that scene with, you know, him going on the tube, which was a really powerful scene. And I did, you know, I wanted to research that later and see, is that a thing he actually did?
Yeah.
And I was disappointed to learn that it was basically some poetic license that they took.
Yeah, entirely. Kevin.
You know, they said,
There's no way.
well, Churchill was known to disappear at certain times, you know, and then reappear back in like
Which is
Parliament or whatever. So it very well could have
Yes,
happened.
as a history student, I'm sitting there hearing this lady say this, and I'm like, well,
There's a lot. I mean, to be
Yes.
fair, there's a lot of things that they do in movies in general.
Yeah, it's like
that-
Absolutely,
Did,
you know.
did
Aaron
Stalin like
Sorkin.
dogs? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? It's
like-
possible.
Yeah.
No, considering the type of man that we know he was, maybe. But did that happen? I don't fucking know. And it's kind of irrelevant whether he did it or not. It's sort of a nice callback to sort of the resilience of the British, which is, I think, one of the better point of the film, which reminds you that the British people, not fucking Winston Churchill, it's the British people were the inspiration for him to be strong.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we're getting fucking bombed every single goddamn night, and they're just still doing their jobs and shit.
And I think
insane.
I think that's the point they were trying to make in that scene.
Exactly.
You know, it's sort of a composite for this is how a leader should lead. This is the right way. You listen to the people and you take into account what their
fears and their wants
their
and their
desires
needs
are,
and their you know dreams and hopes and all of that, and that's what you should be doing exactly.
Yeah.
But it felt like that's what all the movie was. You know what I mean? And it feels like this movie only was made that way because of the current world that we live in. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
Again, I enjoyed it, but it felt like it was tinged in that regard. So, I actually, now hearing what you said about the post, I didn't know. I wasn't sure if it was more like Spotlight or if it was going to be more like.
It's definitely a Spotlight wannabe, and I think
but
that
not as good, right?
I think that's what hurts it more.
Spotlight was really interesting. I didn't
good.
I mean,
love
Spotlight
it, but it was very
so
interesting.
powerful.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
I think, you know, it's impossible not to compare it to that.
But they also tried to really they made sure that they took away the glamour of like journalism in the movie. Like they made it very much like this is how difficult it is to research something and to try to get something in a fight for like, you know,
I think
for your story
fight.
to be seen.
To me, this is the distinction. This is the distinction between the Post and Spotlight. I think there was, since they're both based on true stories, there was way more at stake with that Spotlight story.
Yeah.
You know, I got to a point during the Post where I was like, okay, yes, they could go to prison for publishing this story about government secrets, but like really what's going to hurt them the most is they're not going to be able to have the same kind of cocktail parties.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, but then with Spotlight, obviously these are people's lives who have been deeply affected, and they've been
they've been raped, they've been traumatized.
They've been in pain for
thousands of people.
Right, and
it's like a giant mountain of victims versus like get him because fuck a president who's a criminal, but at the same time, like
it's not the same
difference
scale.
between exposing like this, and especially in an institution. Like, I'm sorry, I think most people, if you ask them, do you think the government is trustworthy? They're gonna be like, fuck no, right? But if you ask them nowadays, it's gonna be different. But at the time, if you ask them, is the government trustworthy? Most people would be like, maybe. You know, it would be if you ask them the church, they'd be like, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not even
Right.
Hands down.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's the other thing about Spotlight is it gets into
It's
this,
a
like,
much more powerful institution, in my opinion.
Sure,
it's,
and
it's morals.
and it gets into the deeply rooted corruption and the systemic
And like you can
issues.
see it, and these fuckers just looking you in the eye. You know what I mean? It's so creepy in that
It is
regard.
so
Like,
scary,
That's what
yeah.
that's what it conveyed. It was like that
Yeah.
that level of like maliciousness and like just looking the other way and like a lack of responsibility and all of those things that were so. That's what made it scary and terrifying, and
Definitely.
how hard it was for these guys to get this information.
Yeah.
Right. But like. Again, I haven't seen this, but if you're describing this level of glamour that it's sort of projecting onto journalists, you know what I mean? It's like, listen, guys, and again, I think this is symptomatic of our world right now. Is I think journalists are seeing themselves as this sort of like protected class that is there to be like the vanguard for the people. And it's like, actually, no, you fucks, you're the same upper class. You're the same people.
The same elite.
Yeah, you're reporting on your
Rubbing
friends,
elbows
basically.
with
Exactly. Fuck off, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to see this shit.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
so
a good point.
it's frustrating to have like it feels like a lot of the films that were made this year were kind of like soft propaganda. You know what I mean? Like trying to project a certain narrative, and that's why I really enjoyed the ones that were. At least if you're going to propagandize to me, make it compelling. Like you could argue that Call Me by Your Name is essentially doing the same thing that Shape of Water is doing, but it's doing it in a realistic fashion, right? Like a real story between two people. But that's what makes it compelling. It's the love between these two people and seeing it, develop and all that thing, the stakes, right, and like the real human emotions. So that sort of cuts through a little bit of that. Oh my God! Look at Meryl Streep walking out of the fucking. It doesn't.
Right.
That doesn't have the same effect.
But
That's
also, and I know you're just going from what you've seen. Like, Call Me by Your Name was a very different movie in the sense that it doesn't even really have acts. Most movies we know
Structurally.
Yeah,
have
they-
structure, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This person changes in Act 2, makes a decision by Act 3. And that movie, what made it so
Climax.
different was that literally you're just watching these two people fall in love.
yeah.
And you're watching,
there's no
you're
rhythm.
literally like a fly on the wall
Yeah.
watching this
Yeah,
kid grow
that's
up.
a good point.
And that
No rhythm.
makes it very distinctive.
It's just
It's like
plodding
a
through,
vignette of sorts.
Yeah, and like I kind of feel like that, not to take away from the movie because the movie I think is amazing, but some people didn't love it as much or whatever. Mostly it's just the way it's done. Like it's kind of easy to make things look beautiful in Northern Italy. You know?
Yeah, it's not
like
too hard.
you're in
When
this
you have
gorgeous
two
area.
good-looking actors.
Yeah, and like
you're
they
working
also,
with Adonis and Adonis Jr.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
around them is Eden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to make
Yeah.
this look fucking beautiful. It's a
and I mean,
Michelangelo painting in motion.
because most foreign films, especially like I would say French and Italian films, tend to have a different sort of structure for their movies and a different air and sensibility about them. Yeah, and so like that works to its benefit too.
Well, to Josh, to your point about everything being heavy-handed, I would argue that one of the least heavy-handed in the group this year is Call Me by Your Name.
yeah.
Because
Yeah, exactly.
it is a movie that's very much about subtleties, and I'm actually in the camp that was really anticipating a lot from that movie and was kind of let down by it. But I've wondered if maybe why I didn't appreciate it as much as because I didn't pick up on some of those subtleties. And I'll also say that if I were to pick the movie that I feel should win versus what I think will win, I think I want Call Me by Your Name to win. I don't think that it will, but I think it's the most sort of culturally significant and important to cinematic history because it, again, like Moonlight, represents people who have been far underrepresented for a long time.
Yeah.
And I, from what I've seen from it, because I haven't seen the film, but it seemed to be a film that's about like the small. It's small in almost every scale, right? So it's one kid's life and his one little, summer type.
The
thing,
summer where he
right?
grows up,
Exactly. It's
essentially,
small.
yeah.
Everything. It's a movie about looks and like slight changes in the face and like little. Everything's little, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's what makes it. That's what people love. They want to see the small stuff because it reminds them of themselves. Or it's I do that, or I've had that, or I've thought that. I remember when I had a love like this. Things like that.
I think that's why-
it's more important than fucking Meryl Streep.
I have to say, like,
for sure.
I think Meryl Streep is a brilliant actress, but I
Yeah.
also think she's been phoning it in for years now.
Well-
like she'll appear in a movie for 5 to 10 minutes and she gets nominated.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so ridiculous.
Probably
because-
the prime example of that being, I remember a few years ago,
Oh
she was
my
nominated
God.
for Into the Woods.
Woods.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my!
for, like,
I
really
saw
okay.
that
It doesn't
movie and I was
matter.
like, she made 2 cameos and they gave her an
Right.
award
That's
nomination.
I do get kind of tired of that. It's like no matter what she's in or what role she played, she's just automatically nominated.
She's the Beyonce
it's
of
so,
movies.
Yeah, it's so unfair.
Yeah.
It's
Because I feel like
annoying.
there's so many actresses out there that bust their ass to get this recognition, and then here she comes. Like, and we joke, like, a lot of my friends are just like, I mean, there's probably like, I feel like every award season, there's just like a position they're waiting for her.
Yeah,
There's
one of the watches like automatic Meryl Streep.
Yeah, like, was she in a movie this year? Okay, so she's
Still in
nominated for
Meryl
that.
Streep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the leading actresses, and you have to just ignore because it's considered
Yeah.
Meryl Streep's
Right,
slot.
that's
She
the
never
slot.
leaves
You
it.
gotta
It's so ridiculous.
Keep that open for
They
her.
just leave Meryl Streep's name in it. They never
Exactly.
erase
There's
it.
just
Yeah.
a chair with like her name on it
Yeah,
every
yeah.
year.
So
But it's what I mean by, just so to clarify, what I mean by that analogy of her being Beyonce is not that it's not merited.
Yeah, 'cause she
You know
is
what
a
I mean?
brilliant
Does
actress.
have the talent, all that shit, but it's getting fucking annoying when it's like a meme that they're so great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, she's the fucking greatest actress of all time. It's
everyone's
like,
just like fangirling.
yeah,
over
exactly.
her.
And like
Yeah.
they've seen like 2 of their movies. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I've listened to Crazy in Love, and now I'm the greatest Beyonce fan.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
that idea.
Sure.
Yeah,
So true.
you have
Sure.
certain actors that like that. Like for me, that guy is Daniel Day-Lewis. It doesn't matter. I don't care what he's in.
Yeah.
He's amazing in everything.
He's going to be the best, right? He's the best actor I've ever seen, bar none.
Which I'm pretty
every
sure
time.
he's not going to get.
So-
like,
He's not gonna win.
he's
Since we're-
nominated.
win.
Since we're talking about it, who do we think is going to take the?
The best picture?
I would be
No,
Oh,
for
best
actor and
director.
actress.
I think that and like there's so many good performances. For best, like this is the thing that I have a problem with the award shows is like everyone sort of follows everyone else's rhythm. Like Emmys come out, the Golden Globes come out, and then from like everyone that won in those previous shows, then
Yeah,
eventually
they
wins the
just kind of
Oscar.
follow suit.
So I'm pretty sure that Timothy Chalamet was so brilliant in Call Me
Yep.
by Your Name,
Yeah.
but he is not winning.
because he's
No.
a kid.
And
Yeah,
because
he's
he's a
good.
kid,
He's
because it's
just
like,
starting out.
but you know what? To be fair, like that's already amazing because he's going to be like a big star right after.
Yeah, exactly.
He already is.
Exactly.
He just shot like a Woody Allen
is
movie.
as good as an award, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
In his
If he
at
continues
his
to
age.
play his cards
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
at his age.
And I think
right? It's
that
like
he'll be
Jennifer
fine.
Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence. Well, no, she won right away, didn't she?
She
For
won.
Winter
Yeah,
Lawrence?
she won for.
No, I don't think she won for that one, didn't she?
No, she won for
Silver
Silver Linings
later
Playbook.
on.
But that's what I mean. She had Winter's Bone. Everybody's like,
Right.
holy
And that-
yeah.
shit.
And that catapulted
Yeah,
her.
exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So personally,
And I'm
I
pretty
think-
sure Gary Oldman is going to win.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
Daniel
either gonna
Day-Lewis,
be
I'm going to be
Oldman.
really surprised because supposedly he is, retiring after this role. I would be really surprised that they give it to him, but he already has
Daniel
3
Day-Lewis?
wins.
Yeah.
He's already won 3
No,
times. Whereas
his nomination is like a
Tip of the hat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is a thank you
because
for doing this
because
thing.
Gary
Right.
Oldman has
You've been-
never
you've been a
won.
fucking-
Even when
You've
he was
been great.
nominated,
Yeah.
he was
But
nominated
you've
I
had your
think,
time.
Exactly.
a few years ago for the film Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah.
and he didn't win, and he's never won.
Right.
which
and
is
that's where the
surprising.
politics do play.
Yeah,
in.
that's
'Cause
my
it's like-
issue with the Oscars too, because like every so often they're playing catch up.
Yeah.
I don't want to just shit on them because that's not what I'm doing, but
Right.
like it's a thing that happens.
I know. Like rather than give them a lifetime achievement award someday, they're going to be like, well, it's not a super strong year. There are people
It's
in
like
this
Scorsese.
category. Yeah.
I mean, they did
With The
that.
Departed,
They did
right?
that for Hitchcock.
The
They
famous
never-
thing.
The
Like,
Departed was good, but fucking, are you kidding me?
Yeah, but
Goodfellas, Casino,
They
like
did
all
that
this
for
one
fucking
Friday
amazing.
won it.
But like
Exactly.
they did that for Hitchcock too. Like he never got an Academy Award.
Oh,
yeah.
And for sure, like he was known as one of the best directors ever.
Ever.
But they just didn't give him anything, and then they gave him what was it, the Governor's? That's like the Achievement Award. That's what it's
Yeah,
called.
he's
Yeah.
like, you.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
Hitchcock
it's
for that
ridiculous.
prize.
So I think
Shit,
we're all in
this
agreement
bullshit,
that
yeah.
it's going to be Gary Oldman.
Probably.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I can I have two strings running in my head at all times, right? So there's what I think is going to happen based on prior information,
Yeah.
and then there's the wild card because it's 2018, right? So I could,
The upset.
yeah, I
that
could
happened.
see Daniel. What is it, Kaluuya?
Kaluuya,
Yeah.
I can see
Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Dude, he
winning.
was great.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
Get
yeah.
Out.
Hey, that would be cool.
I
was a
haven't
really good
seen Get
movie.
Out. I would not be surprised if this happened. But to my thinking, he's a well, people have been complaining. Get Out was very good. So
But I mean, then again,
let's
if
put
you're gonna,
Jordan
if
Peele
you're
in there, and let's put this. What's his name? You know what I mean? Like I see that's how this went. Like nobody fucking cared about
because Denzel Washington has already won.
Yeah, he's fucking
twice.
Denzel.
That one is the most random.
And like, but to be fair, that's just like you're saying with like what we said about Meryl Streep. Like every movie they're in, they're amazing.
Yeah,
for the most part. So like that movie was not a good movie.
I don't know anyone who even saw it.
I did not care for it.
No.
Like it wasn't a very good movie.
Literally,
it was the best
person.
It's like that was like Meryl's spot where they're like, okay, we got to save this one for Denzel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and to an even greater degree, it's we can't have too many white people in here tonight.
well, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
And that could have something to do with how they made a real effort to change the makeup of voters, right, and make it more diverse.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't finish that actually because like it's 8,000 voters, like and so like around 8,000 in the academy, and every like they have various positions they've had previously, director, costume designer, and they can only vote for their prior positions. So directors can only vote for film directing. Costume designers can only vote for costume designers. But
like whatever their trade is,
except Best Picture.
Everybody
That's
can
when the
vote
vote. Everyone can put in their vote.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so like it's
I don't think it's been like that before, has it?
I don't think so. No, I mean, from what I know, that's been the same thing. It's now the way that they changed the percentage of votes. It's like everyone would write down their top 5 movies, and then a lot of people don't watch them or
ranking system.
Right. So like most people's number ones won't win, but it's like the number 2 or number 3 movie that ends up breaking the ice and getting over the 50%, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's again, anyone that cares about that can go watch that Vanity Fair video that just came out yesterday. There was something previously, I think, on like what's it called, True TV. Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh yeah.
They had like a thing that was based on other articles from like Forbes, the Hollywood Reporter, and things like that
about the voting process.
Yeah, but I mean it has changed since the last 2 years because of all
it seems like it's changing all the time.
Yeah, especially with the last 3 years.
Well,
now.
because of the backlash.
Right. Yeah. So it has been changing.
So who do we think is going to win Best Actress?
Well, I would say, Sally Hawkins hasn't won in most of the awards, so I feel like Frances McDormand is going to win. I know you didn't really like 3 Billboards. I thought it was a brilliant movie. I thought it was amazing.
Haven't seen it yet.
Go see it. It's brilliant.
And Frances McDormand is
incredible. But this is the thing. Much like Meryl Streep, and I'm not afraid of saying this, Frances McDormand's like the way she plays roles is the same in the last few movies.
She's really good at playing a couple of characters. But she plays them better than anyone else.
Yes, she is like the
nails.
Right.
Mom. She's Mama Bear.
She totally does that in this movie. And like I think the only time she did play it differently was when she won her Oscar for Fargo.
Yeah.
That was the only time she was different. And I think
out
that
of
maybe
her comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean she played a pregnant woman who was kind of like sarcastic but figuring out what's going on, and she was a police officer, but they also had an accent. Like she had an accent because of the area, Fargo, wherever Fargo is.
It's in what is it?
Dakota, South Dakota.
Yeah,
South
so
Dakota.
like
one of the Dakotas.
Yeah.
Right, and so that was different.
She's like, oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's like a whole scene. I remember she's like, yeah, and that was like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but
I mean that was great.
So like
it's funny how plains people, even Canadians, are like that. Like, it's so funny.
Well,
I met people in Maine that have like a
Flatland,
really specific accent too. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Definitely a more nuanced performance.
Yeah. So like I think that she's probably gonna win. I have to say though, Sally Hawkins was really fantastic in The Shape of Water, and so was Margot Robbie. And
I'm gonna have the unpopular opinion.
You didn't think so?
Sally Hawkins?
No, just...
I thought she was great, but at the same time,
I don't think it's that hard to play a mute person.
At the same time, the thing that was really,
I think like
this is my problem with the movie.
Some nuances.
I thought she was good. The problem was that in the movie they purposely repeat like I don't know if that's on purpose for storytelling or that was like an artistic choice or Guillermo del Toro just wanted to make it easier for people to see the movie or understand what's going on, is that they would have the other actors with her repeat what she is signing instead of just showing subtitles or answering. They would and there's literally a scene in the movie where she and Richard Jenkins' character, Giles, her neighbor, she's like, I want you to say what I'm saying. Like she signs it out because she's mute, and then he literally says everything.
I
but
think
the
that's
point
because
of that,
she wants him to have to
understand.
To say it.
Right.
And saying things makes them more real to you.
Right. But that happens a lot in the movie, though. That's just the one scene where she needs to try to explain what's going on.
Emotion that she was conveying in any way that felt like really like easy to see on her. Everything else was kind of way more subtle and almost she wasn't shot in a way that really helped play up her facial expressions because she's fucking mute, so like that's a huge part. It would be the way she expresses herself, right?
Right.
No, we don't get that. What do we get? We get anger face. She's kind of shaking because she's mad.
She's not, no,
Hands
but also
everywhere.
there was like the little things where she was like moving the camera and she's kind of doing it to where it doesn't look
frowny face.
Yeah.
Kind of. I'm trying to look inconspicuous face. Like it was not like it wasn't that impressive. Like people would walk out of The Shape of Water and be like, "Oh my God, Sally Hawkins was amazing," and I just didn't see it. It's not that I thought she was bad. I just didn't think it was anything super super special. But Margot Robbie seemingly took it like to another level, and also I like seeing people that like actresses that people think are just like hot chicks be really good. You know what I mean? Because
she's a brilliant actress.
Fuck yeah.
I think Margot this year is kind of in the Timothée Chalamet category. She's like getting her first big break.
Yeah.
People are paying more attention to her, and she's got a great career ahead of her. But she's not going to win because she's too young, and she hasn't been around that much.
I think she deserves it.
I feel bad. I mean, like
I think Sally Hawkins is going to win.
Yeah, but
I would like to see her win because again, she's been around a long time, and she's always been great.
Yeah, she has.
Day one.
So that's probably going to be one of the things where she's not so amazing this year. Most people think that too, but they're going to give it to her because they've never given one to her. I guess.
Right.
I can check that really quickly.
I would be blown away.
Because I don't know if she ever
Meryl
won.
Streep won, or if
I would be furious if Meryl Streep won.
And if Saoirse Ronan won too, I would be surprised. But
Saoirse Ronan.
I don't think she doesn't deserve it.
I love Saoirse, but again, I think she's been stellar so far, and she's only going to continue to be, so she'll have her time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like
they're all budding.
she's already, honestly, like she's been nominated since Atonement, which is also another Joe Wright movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's won. She didn't win for Brooklyn either.
No.
I was really annoyed because in Brooklyn I thought she was really good.
I mean, that
but I feel like in other
illustrates
movies
to
she
me
was better.
How brilliant she is. I mean, look at how different her character in Lady Bird is versus like Brooklyn.
Or Hannah.
Right.
I mean,
or Hannah. Oh, dude. She was so
polar
amazing in
opposites.
Hannah. And yet, like,
That's
she has
true.
never
Yeah, I forgot
won.
about Hannah.
Yeah, and, like, she never got any attention, and she was, like, 17.
It's annoying because oftentimes
Like,
really good actors when they're young can be like fucking chameleons.
and
they're
yeah,
just
by the way,
amazing.
Sally Hawkins has never won an Academy.
But they're
Award.
not.
So
But they're not going to win because they're young, and that's not the way that the Academy works.
It's
And
like not their time.
Yeah, it's frustrating to even have to say that.
They've,
Like,
they've
it's not
for
the way
sure done
the
that in
Academy
the
was.
past, though. Like, I mean, to be honest, what's her name? I don't remember her name, sadly. The woman who played Rogue in the X-Men movies, and she also played in True Blood. Anna Paquin won when she was like 10.
True.
So
Yeah,
like in the
well,
past,
Yeah,
they
but when
don't.
Anna Paquin was 10, it was a different time.
Exactly, but that's what I
When
mean.
they
Yeah.
Like, they just
And
kind
And
of
I also
change
like
things.
wonder, was that a weak year or something too? I would have to look at that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think we all agree Sally Hawkins
Probably
for
going to take it.
leading actress. How
Yeah.
about supporting actor?
I feel like because everyone has been seeing Allison Janney's been winning all the other awards, and I thought she was really good in I, Tonya, but I feel like Laurie Metcalf has been like severely underlooked.
Laurie Metcalf
I thought she was
good in
so
Lady Bird.
fantastic in Lady Bird, and
She
no
was
one
part
has
of-
given her any. I mean, she got nominated for everything that Allison Janney got nominated for, the same category, but she hasn't won any of the awards in any of the previous award shows this season. So I feel
in my opinion, Laurie Metcalf was the reason that Lady Bird was as compelling as it was. It's because she played that mom character so fucking straight, so good. I know so many moms like that.
Yeah,
it's
same
like
here.
Yeah, you are perfect. You're doing it exactly right.
the timing,
Yeah. And it makes
and the delivery
So
was
you
really
think
good.
that's like the main reason that Lady Bird is
I
even
think the
in
reason that
awards
Saoirse Ronan's
conversation?
behavior is so is so like the reason that the character Lady Bird is so sort of you're empathetic with her, and the reason that you can actually because she's so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
The reason
Well,
that you
she's a
can
selfish
be,
teenager.
Yeah, but the reason that you
but like
can
a lot
be empathetic with her is because her mom is being so hard on her, even though she needs to be. Right. But you see the pressure that it's putting on the kid and what it's doing, and it makes her sympathetic, and that's a skill because, like, oh my god, I remember not even wanting to watch the movie because I'm just like, I don't want to deal with.
Yeah, I remember you saw a trailer. Like, that is the most annoying looking movie I've ever seen. I was like, really? I was like, but the thing is, like, and I think Lady Bird was a great movie, an exceptional movie.
Me too.
But I don't feel that it's this amazing piece of cinema that everyone's making it sound like.
No,
I think that it's a lot of things that are happening. It's the fact that it was written directed by a female actress of all things, because she's never written any. Well, she's written a lot of movies. Honestly, go check that out. She has. She wrote and directed a movie.
Co-directed before.
She co-directed, Nights and Weekends with another indie director who is now making a bunch of stuff. He has like shows on Netflix, movies on Netflix, exclusively for Netflix. Anyway, but yeah, like I didn't really like her as an actress, but she totally blew me away with the fact that she can write and direct a really good movie.
Sure.
But I think that it's numerous things. It's the fact that she is a woman, and that's great because now it's like women are getting a lot more attention now, which is fantastic in the Academy and in filmmaking. It's the fact that the movie is relatable because a lot of teenagers are going to watch this or have already seen this and are like, holy shit, that's who I am.
Yep.
Or, oh my god, I did that to my mom. I'm such a terrible person. Or moms are going to be like, oh my god, that's exactly what it's like growing up with a daughter.
Well, I think that's what makes Lady Bird really unique is it wasn't afraid to portray teenagers honestly,
yeah.
That they are not perfect. They're going through really tough times. They're moody. They're kind of terrible people a lot of times.
I mean, they're
selfish assholes. And they're also
they're fractured.
Idiots.
Yeah.
They're learning who they are, and they don't know. They always think that they're the best version that they could be.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like really cool because even though the movie does a lot of things that other movies do, I've seen maybe a few better coming of age stories.
Yeah.
What I loved about the movie was that it still was its own movie. Like it's the relationship between the daughter and the mother, which isn't really seen much in many movies. I think the last time I saw that was in like Real Women Have Curves, which was back in like 1997 on it's an HBO movie. And also like in the movie, it's not about just getting the guy, which in most of those movies it is.
Drives a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's like I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get with this guy. I love this guy. Blah blah. It didn't work out.
In fact, it's very
on.
anti that.
Yeah, it's actually I love that. It showed that pursuit is futile. It doesn't do anything for you,
right?
Especially when you're chasing fucking idiots who you don't even know.
I love it because
Timothy
Chalamet was so amazing.
He was
so amazing in the movie.
I really like Money.
I haven't lied in 2 years.
Yeah.
What a dick.
I tried to remove myself from the monetary system.
Right.
When he said
so
that,
funny.
I burst out laughing so loud in the theater.
Such a
People
douchebag.
turned around and looked at me. Yeah, I was like, I know that kid.
Yeah,
I've seen that kid.
Everyone knew that kid.
Around that kid.
Yeah, that sort of anti-establishment,
But he's
moody
the
kid in the
establishment
corner.
kid.
Right.
But he's also the rich kid. So
of course.
He's
That's how easy it is.
Yeah, so he's a hypocrite.
Exactly.
Right.
He's the most hypocritical.
So,
and that's what makes him fun.
Do we think that Holly Hunter got snubbed for The Big Sick? Because
I think she's great, but I didn't think she was that great.
was Holly
in that
Hunter?
movie. Holly Hunter was the mom.
She was the mom, yeah.
In The Big Sick. I don't think she was that compelling in the movie.
I don't think anybody in The Big Sick deserved the nomination.
Yeah, I think
The Big Sick itself.
it's more of the, like I also really liked it, but I didn't think it was that fantastic.
Yeah, it was funny.
I thought, oh, cool. A person who's not white wrote a movie,
right?
And I was like, that's great, but then also his wife is white and she co-wrote it. So she co-wrote it. So I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not even just that. It's like
Kumail Nanjiani was good. I love Kumail Nanjiani. He's amazing in a bunch of things, especially he's been in a lot of movies lately. But like he'll do a random cameo
in Silicon Valley.
Valley, he has a stand-up show with on Comedy Central, but I forgot what it's called. With Jonah Ray, but like. I didn't think the movie was as great as everyone says it was. I just think it's a really good romantic comedy that's from a different perspective.
Again,
and that's why it kind of like broke out.
It is.
Well, yeah,
and which is why certain things get
Muslim
the amount of hype that they do. Yeah,
it was like really, but I mean, it was really funny. Also,
absolutely,
that was really good. But I didn't think that it was that amazing.
It didn't blow you away.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But like, it definitely made me laugh.
Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't spectacular.
Laurie Metcalf for supporting actress. How about supporting actor? Who do we think?
Definitely not fucking Richard Jenkins.
For
no offense.
sure.
Why do you say that?
Not because he wasn't good, just because he didn't do enough. No.
Yeah, no,
You think he's
I think he
the
was
dark horse
amazing,
here?
but not in that movie. I thought when he was first nominated for The Visitor, he like really, well, he was for lead in that movie.
Yeah.
And he was fantastic in that. I don't think that he had enough to work with in this movie.
So you don't think it could be one of those situations like we've been talking about?
Probably
where
going to
it's
be
his
either
time?
William Dafoe or Christopher Plummer, actually.
I would be surprised if it wasn't one of the two from Three Billboards.
Oh, dude, Sam Rockwell totally deserves it. I totally forgot about that.
Because
I think, and like, I know
they
you didn't
play
like
a
the
buddy
movie, but like,
cop thing.
he is so no. But this is the thing. I think that it's safe to say that a lot of people think Woody Harrelson is a good actor, but a lot of people are kind of. There's the people that have only seen a certain type of movies he's made, which is like comedies and such.
Yeah.
But like he's done a lot of dramatic work, and he is really, really
He's a
good.
really fucking good
Sam
actor.
Rockwell, I think, is brilliant and never got any recognition.
No.
He's been amazing in so many things. In
Even
Galaxy
though he hasn't
Quest,
got credit.
he was amazing in Seven Psychopaths. He was amazing in Iron Man 2. And like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
I've
Like,
never seen
who
him
cares
do
about
anything
Iron Man
bad.
2? And
Basically,
like, he was the
he's
funniest
never
part.
had a bad role.
I
Yeah,
can't think of
well, he's
one.
never been bad in a role.
Yeah.
I think is the case.
I mean, here's the thing.
go
like,
the way back.
Yeah, you and I do disagree about Three Billboards, but I will say that I do think that the cast did a great job with what they had, even though I didn't like it. I still would love to see Richard Jenkins win because I just really loved his character in that movie. And again, he's been great for so long. He's older than Sam Rockwell. Like,
Yeah, he's a lot older than Sam Rockwell.
He may not have another shot for a long time.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell will probably have another shot.
I
sometime
don't see
soon.
him winning,
I don't
but I
know.
would. It's not.
I
that-
kind of agree with you though, because like I remember even it's not an Academy Award winning movie for sure or nomination, but like he was amazing in Step Brothers.
He was fucking.
It was like, who knew?
One of the best
one of
parts
the
of it.
Who
Yeah.
knew that like this
I mean, didn't he
guy
have the
could
great
be so
Catalina
funny?
wine mixer?
He didn't do that, but yeah, but he was like the dad. Remember?
Yeah.
Dad, he was
And then at the end, he's like,
fucking
"I always
hilarious.
wanted to be what was it, a reptile,
Yeah.
like a Tyrannosaurus."
Don't lose your.
Yeah.
Don't
He's like,
lose your T-Rex. Yeah.
and you're like,
Don't
what?
lose your dinosaur.
Yeah, so like,
I love that
I mean,
shit.
I
He
think
was
he's,
so funny.
he's also a really versatile actor.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
and
he
can
is.
he can play the goofy dad, or he can play the sort of sensitive, closed-in artist type, like in Shape of Water. So
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked him in the movie, but I just don't feel like that. And who knows? The Academy has a reputation of always playing catch up. Maybe because they never gave it to him, they'll give it to him. Christopher Plummer won for The Beginners back in like
That's a
2010
good
or
point.
2011,
Yeah.
and he totally deserved that. But anyone in that category, I remember that year, could have won.
He's also Christopher
know?
Plummer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
he showed up
Like,
for a movie for
Give
reshoots
him
for
the
2
fucking
weeks.
Oscar.
Right.
No, I mean he shot that in 2 weeks. He basically pulled a Naomi.
see, but
What's
that
called from
Yeah.
Moonlight.
that actually kind of annoys me. I feel like it's just a stunt that he's in there. It's like
Well,
it's
okay,
almost like
first
a
of all-
response to it's like
The
saying,
guy who played his grandson is actually his grandson in
Really?
real life.
wow.
So
Wow, that's a little-
probably why they were able to get him within the 2 weeks notice.
Really?
From what I know.
All that aside, I just feel like the reason he's in there is almost because it's a direct response to the
Kevin
to the
Spacey.
Me Too movement
Yeah.
and Kevin Spacey and yes, it is impressive that he did it in such a short time, but from what I've read, he doesn't have that much screen time, and it's
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't.
Really?
And I mean, also he's pretty like unlike other people. Like I mentioned, I can't remember her name, Naomi Harris
Yes.
from Moonlight.
Right.
She did it on a whim. She had to do it because she couldn't get her visa for long enough,
Right.
and she's British.
See, that to me is
That's-
way more impressive.
Right, but also she's nowhere near. She doesn't have the experience that he has. He's been acting forever.
And he's still-
So
he's
for
like
him to
80s
come
Classically
here,
trained.
Yeah.
He's like fucking Laurence Olivier. But
Yeah.
he's
Well,
from this
see,
era.
that's also the thing. Like he's there with Ridley Scott, right? These are huge
heavy
veterans.
hitters, yeah.
Like they're able to just come in and be super professional and like
Yeah.
get the job done.
So like it's like, oh, you were well directed by Steven Spielberg. Okay.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
you know.
You're also Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see Richard Jenkins, but I think you're right. Sam Rockwell is probably, I would guess, the front runner.
I haven't checked who's actually. I think it's William Dafoe that's
And
been
I've
winning
heard
the awards
really-
Has he?
together.
Yeah, it's William
Well,
Dafoe.
maybe.
Yeah. Dafoe.
Well, maybe
So-
that could be in a way they're like.
And I didn't
the-
like him so much in the movie. I thought
No.
the movie was really and I know why the movie's not nominated because it's not unlike Three Billboards, which I've mentioned to you numerous times, is like a very unsophisticated people in the movie. But like Florida Project is just straight up people that are poor.
Yeah.
Don't have much sophisticated. They're not very educated. They're not very smart. It's not going to be a movie the Academy would nominate hadn't it been for his role in the movie, because
they would have totally ignored it if you weren't in it.
Exactly.
Well. Yeah.
So like that's the only vote it has.
I think maybe like they're I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's nominated for anything else. So it's like they're throwing a bone to Florida Project, and it might win because that's the only thing it's nominated for. I mean, Defoe might win because that's the only category it's in.
The only thing I thought was interesting, but the movie is not a bad movie by any means. It's a really good movie, but it's hard to watch. Yeah. And so like what makes the movie transcend in the sense of that it might get nominated, which it didn't, would be the cinematography. Because there's the whole perspective is from the little girl.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of it is lower to see the so like
really
you see like the sky a lot.
Yeah, that's like it's such a small thing that completely changes.
Yeah, so like his character is considered like in the movie when they show the framing, he is always like a character of power because he's like the manager of this hotel where everyone lives, and he's the one who solves the problem. So like you always, when you see him, the camera's always looking up at him.
He's seeing from above.
Yeah, and so like that's the only thing that I would say. Really,
or from below.
Well, I think you're kind of getting at a point which we haven't talked about yet. Which is that. The reality, I'm sure, is that a lot of voters don't see everything.
Right. That's true.
And they're gonna steer towards the stuff that is probably more conventional in a lot of cases. And so, like, probably most of the voters have seen Shape of Water, and most have not seen The Florida Project. Right.
That's true. Yeah. That's right.
So. But yeah, I mean, look, Willem Dafoe is another guy who's been around for a long time. He always does a great job. So that would be cool if you want.
Yeah.
I think so.
Moving on to animated feature, I mean...
Okay, let's just real quick have a moment to look at the words "The Boss Baby" on this.
I was so angry about that. No, by the way, I have to say, I really think that for years now, Sony Animation has always been really well animated, but their movies are terrible.
As far as
narrative, story,
they also,
acting,
they're like a fever dream.
Yeah.
They're not watching them. It's not comfortable. They're fucking terrifying.
The Boss Baby. I don't know what they were thinking. I think maybe they were just like, this was really well animated because like now it knocks out everything else. It is. It's really well animated, but the movie's terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
But like that's what bothers me. The
breadwinner.
Also, I saw it, and the animation isn't to the highest level, and I think that's on purpose for
I actually disagree.
Artistic
style. It's aesthetic choices. It's not.
Yeah, it's definitely because the people that made that, they're Irish production companies, and it was a co.
Oh, is that the same people as Secret of the Kells?
Yes, Secret of the Kells and A Song of the Sea. But it was a different director. And she also works in the same studio, and then it was a co-production to get the voice actors. Canadian production, I think, was the so it was like a Irish Canadian production. But
the Anglosphere.
But like, I really loved Loving Vincent, and it was completely like I've never seen a movie like that ever.
Yes, Loving Vincent should win.
It's not going to. It's not going to. Coco is going to win.
Coco's going to win.
And to be fair, Coco was amazing. I'm not going to sit here and be like Disney. Because you know what? They did their job. It was really well done.
They laid it down.
It was really well acted. They also bought a whole international cast, even though it's in English. And it was the first, and also it's politically charged.
Of course.
Because it's about Mexican Americans. Yeah. It's really not it's really about Mexicans.
It is.
It's in Mexico.
No, yeah, you're right.
So like they purposely which sucks because I was having like sort of a thought about that too, because like now in 2018 we just saw, I don't know if you've seen Black Panther.
Yeah.
And like that is also very politically charged. So I was worried that it was going to be like, Africa based on Disney, stamped by. Right. But it did a really good job. And the same thing I could say about Coco.
Yeah.
It was very compelling. It was beautifully animated. The acting was fantastic for the most part. But Loving Vincent was a lot softer on that. Like they put so much work into the movie.
But it's not about that. Loving Vincent is not about being a good movie.
But it was a good movie too.
It just wasn't as about being a achievement of art and fucking passion and just blood, sweat, and tears.
Just for that, it deserves the award. I mean, it took 7 years to make. over 60,000 frames of painting. And they thought they were going to make it in 2 years. And apparently, one of the directors, it's a husband and wife combo that directed the movie and produced the movie. She'd been trying to make a movie for a long time. She did a short film. She's always been really intrigued by, the artist, which escapes me right now because I'm really tired. Vincent Van Gogh. And she made a short film. She then won a monetary award from that, and then wanted to make the movie thinking she could make it in 2 years, and it's been like this big battle for them to make it, and it's finally
I didn't know all those things.
It's amazing. Really cool. And so it's sad that
the background is just as impressive
in
as
Europe it's winning everywhere, but in America it's
about a European one of the greats of art, you know what I mean? Obviously it's a heritage film for them, and I think that's again something that's lacking in Europe. Europe is having this big crisis of what are we, what do we want to be, immigration, all that shit. It's in Europe specifically, it will be something amazing to see somebody who reminds Europeans of what Europe is supposed to be about, which is culture and art and transcending your this normal life and sort of becoming more and inspiring more people to be better and all that shit, right? Which is what that movie's about.
Yeah,
and
really.
what it really sort of it personifies all of those things, and that's why I think it should win, and it shouldn't be in the same fucking category as goddamn Boss Baby.
Well, the Boss Baby shouldn't even be nominated.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. But I wouldn't be surprised, and I also wouldn't be upset.
It's probably like a filler. It's probably
I don't know.
what other animated movies came out?
Right.
And I was like,
Fernandinand,
like for whatever the hell that is. Ferdinand is like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, why would you nominate that? There's so many other. I mean, that's the one time I would actually feel happy if the nominations were like 3 movies.
Yeah.
Like the first time I was like, at least they all deserve it.
Yeah. So Loving Vincent should win.
Coco is probably going to win. Yeah.
Cinematography. Who do we think?
All right, I haven't seen.
I thought the cinematography in The Shape of Water was great. I don't know about that compared to the cinematography in Blade Runner 2049.
Yes, so Blade Runner was shot by Roger Deakins, the most nominated cinematographer ever without a win.
Yeah.
I want to say that this is his year, but
he's lucky Emmanuel didn't make a movie. I'm just kidding. That's me.
Oh yeah, but I think that Dunkirk is a serious threat, and also Mudbound, because she made history as the first woman ever to be nominated.
And she just shot Black Panther.
That can only help her.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
So I mean,
and Shape of Water is gorgeous too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tough one. I think. I mean, I loved Blade Runner. I love Roger Deakins. I think it looked incredible. I would love to see him finally win, but I certainly wouldn't be upset if
Dunkirk or Shape of Water. I saw Mudbound. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was. It was a good movie, but I don't think it was as exceptional as people think. But I would say that also is kind of like what I was saying with Call Me by Your Name, where it's not very difficult if you know what you're doing to make it look beautiful.
I agree with you.
Because it was kind of down south, and it was you got a lot of
you have the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, it's like Loving, that movie Loving. Remember with the person interracial couple? Yeah, I hated that movie too, but it was gorgeous. It was
beautiful.
It was gorgeous
Visually.
That was one of those.
But you're saying because of the scenery and
right?
It's gorgeous because it's like
oh my gosh, it's so hard to make a beautiful movie in Paris.
Oh yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It kind of depends on what you're doing.
Well, this is the other thing. It's the awards overall could take on this theme, with the Me Too movement as being just all about girl power, right?
Girl power. So just basically fuck white dudes. It could be the theme.
So Rachel,
that's fine.
So Rachel Morrison very well could win, and that would be cool. I didn't think that Mudbound was particularly gorgeous or breathtaking.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be cool.
Yeah. That's also, that kind of thing bothers me because it's you're making a political movement without any merit, in the sense of you're, and no offense to her, she is a good she's a good cinematographer, but again, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think that the movie looked exceptionally beautiful, so that kind of bothers me.
Right.
I mean, so much of this, when you get down into the nitty gritty, right, is the very notion of it is absurd because you are comparing apples with oranges. I mean, like Blade Runner looks completely different from Dunkirk. Dunkirk is a World War II drama. You know, Blade Runner is
cyberpunk.
I mean, it's completely different.
I mean, but at the same time, like there are some similar, not really, but in the sense of like lighting. Slight similarities from the Shape of Water to in the look, but at the same time they used a whole array of color in 2049.
Yeah, that's
whereas
wouldn't even make
Shape
any
of Water
sense
was going with a specific palette of colors.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
so much neon,
and it bothers me too that like he hasn't won. I thought Arrival, I thought it was a really good movie, but like he made with whatever he had. He made everything look really beautiful.
Arrival was visually more interesting than anything else.
Yeah, and that's why I was like,
that's why I kept watching because
strange.
Like, it was the visuals. I was like, God, when they
what won that year?
For
was it La La Land?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, not bad, but
you know how I feel about it. But it did. Yeah, it looked gorgeous.
It looked good
it's like
too,
Umbrellas of Cherbourg meets Singing in the Rain, and it had its own.
Some of the stuff was really good, and I felt like some of the stuff was forced in the movie, but it is a musical. Yeah, or it's supposed to be a musical anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know any musical that only has eight songs, but it was supposed to be a musical.
I do. It's so
actually, if you look at, that's a whole separate podcast. But if you go back and look at some of the most famous musicals ever, there are not that many songs.
Really?
Yeah, especially because a lot of the big sequences, like with. You know, Gene Kelly sequences in Anchors Away and American in Paris is like these really elaborate, long
that's true.
Tangents that are
like one song for like 14 minutes.
Dance sequences and all that.
And all of a sudden the fucking thing goes
away
exactly. Dancing in front of
a whole thing.
So it's very true.
There's like 400 people kicking.
So let's touch on some of the other big categories. Who do we think for directing?
I feel like, again,
Greta.
Politically,
you think
it's
Greta
either Greta or Jordan Peele.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it could be like Guillermo del Toro, but he, again, going on with all the other awards, where he's won all the other awards and all the other awards he's won that.
Did the DGA awards happen yet?
I don't think so.
Because that is often an indication, right, of like who's gonna.
Yeah, actually.
I mean, I know there's talk of Christopher Nolan because I think he has yet to win, and this may even be his first directing nomination. I could be wrong.
I didn't know
that.
But
you know, he could.
They're not going to give it to a white guy for a war movie,
right?
I was pretty surprised though.
I think it's more likely going to be Jordan Peele over Greta Gerwig because again, she kind of falls into the category of. You know, she did a great job, but she's new on the scene.
Yeah.
She's proven herself. She's got a great career ahead. Jordan Peele came out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
That was. I thought it was a really good movie, man.
Fucking love.
What a badass.
Key and Peele's fucking hilarious.
It was hilarious, and who knew he could direct and he could write? Like I thought that was
amazing. I imagine
most
of the
writing wise, I guess.
And also doing a drama, right, or a
a
thriller.
Like a what is it called?
Socially, when he has more of a background
socially
in comedy.
cautious thriller.
Right.
Cautionary story, really.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, too. I think oftentimes there's a direct correlation with what wins Best Picture and what wins Director, and it's kind of like... So I feel like Get Out has a pretty poor shot at winning Best Picture, and as a result, it has a much better shot at winning Director.
Exactly. They're going to get... It's there for a reason, so they have to give it something.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I
would not be surprised if you won.
I still feel like because Guillermo del Toro's been winning all the directing awards for all the other previous shows that he's probably going to win. But I could be wrong. You never know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. I see Paul Thomas Anderson. I think he's amazing, but I didn't really watch Phantom Thread. How was his directing in that?
So it's funny because of all the Best Picture nominees, honestly, Phantom Thread might be my favorite. But I'm not going to sit here and argue that it should win because it's, it's funny because to your point about everything being politically charged, it's probably the least politically charged and preachy, but it's just like a pristine, amazing film. In my opinion, it's like, it's Hitchcockian in a way, and it's just, the cast is great, everything is great. I mean, P.T. Anderson did his own cinematography. It's a very well done film, but it's probably the least likely to win.
Yeah.
And I think same with directing. It's probably
I'm with you there. No one's it's gone really, really under the radar.
Yeah. So how about screenplays, adapted and original? Adapted. What do we think?
Maybe Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
Potentially The Disaster
I was
Artist. I can see them
surprised.
doing that.
Yeah, that was because
I
that's
don't
the
know
only
though with
thing
all
they
the
got.
James Franco backlash.
Also, like I didn't.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
read most of the. I didn't read all of it. I
Yeah,
read
but,
most of The Disaster Artist, and I feel like there were so many things that they kind of left out of the
Yeah.
movie. But it is a movie, not a book.
I didn't see
Logan.
it.
But Logan, wow.
Hey, it's cool
Logan
that Logan
was
is in
so
fuck
good.
yeah.
I loved Logan.
Logan was fantastic, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna win. Or
No.
maybe it'll be the wild card because
Could
it's
be.
the first superhero movie that'll. Because I mean, fucking Suicide Squad could win an award.
Oh, God.
Even though it was for makeup or whatever. Still, like, give me a break.
The Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad.
Yeah, really.
How weird
Yeah.
is that?
So it's like one of the
Yeah.
worst movies.
No,
of
I think you guys are
2017.
right. I think it's going to be Call Me by Your Name, especially because it's probably not going to win Best Picture.
Yeah, the easiest thing to say, because Aaron Sorkin has always won, or has won
That's
numerous
a
times,
good point.
is that he might win for Molly's Game, but I don't think that the movie was, from what I heard, the script wasn't as good as his other.
Password.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I'm really distracted by Jessica Chastain. Super on that.
She's a
movie.
gorgeous woman.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
They really play it up. I was like, okay, holy shit.
So, how about original screenplay?
The Big Sick is definitely not winning.
I can see.
Probably not.
I can
I
see
don't think
Get
it's gonna
Out.
win.
Get Out taking this one. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a crapshoot for me between Get Out and Lady Bird for
Me too,
directing
yeah.
and screenplay.
Yeah,
I feel like
especially not
whichever
after,
wins directing.
with the plagiarizing. I don't think The Shape of Water is going to win.
That's a good point.
That's more for that than directing because that's literally the script.
Yeah.
And so like I don't think that it's going to win
I
because
think
of
whatever
that.
wins directing won't win screenplay. And whatever
Yeah.
wins screenplay will win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I would like to see either again the last few award shows, Martin McDonagh has been winning for 3 Billboards. And as much as I like the script, and not a lot of you didn't like the script, I would say I would like to see either Get Out or Lady Bird, or even Big Sick win, but I don't think Big Sick is
I
going
don't
to
think
win.
Big Six is gonna win.
Yeah.
Just
It's
because
it's just not as well written.
it's
So-
yeah, and it's
What-
not
it
not
felt
like
I was a lot of the time with that movie. It felt like I was watching a comedy sketch.
Yeah.
Or I felt like I was watching like a routine, like he's
improv.
Like, yeah, like I felt like I was watching
Yeah.
like a Type 15 at the Comedy Store. It's just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
okay, man. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what. Well, he's a comedian, right? So that's
Yeah.
kind of how he will write, which is fine. But it wasn't bad. But still, I feel like the quality of writing when it came to Lady Bird specifically was really good.
And also-
a lot of those scenes were really well written.
Yeah, and I have to say, I thought Get Out was really, really well written and directed. So
For sure.
I wouldn't be mad if it won, honestly.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I mean, it was also an original story, which is like hard
Yeah.
to like.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen
mean-
very often.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Lady Bird was an original perspective.
Yeah,
but
but
it's not an original story.
Yeah,
But like for
everyone has
sure, Get
fun.
Out is an original story.
Sort of. Get Out is essentially.
I mean, he took a lot. He was inspired
Hansel
by
and Gretel.
Yeah, but he was inspired a lot by. No, he was inspired a lot by. What is it? Rosemary's Baby.
Oh.
And I was gonna say, what was it? The Stepford Wives. And you can see
that.
a little
Yeah,
of that in the
sure.
movie, but
Yeah, I
like
can
the
see that.
story itself and what it leads
But again,
to.
that's all of those things are those. Well, no, Stepford Wives specifically. That's Hansel and Gretel. It's the God, look at this candy house.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I want to eat this candy house, and then you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, it's made of people. Like,
Yeah.
it's so bad. Yeah, it's the twist. Turns it on its head. Hell, Soylent Green is made of people. All that shit, right?
That's
It's
interesting.
oh fuck.
Yeah.
I've never.
That's the Hansel Gretel
I've
story,
never
man.
heard that observation. That's a good one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's true.
No story is new. No story is new. But it's
Everything has to
cool.
come with
Yeah,
time.
it's cool to see how we like change these stories over time and like make
Yeah.
new stuff. That's what's
Sure.
interesting, right?
And I mean, he did change the ending too for whoever didn't. You didn't watch it.
I haven't watched it yet.
So like originally it was not gonna be a happy ending.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
Because spoiler, but I mean
Yeah.
it came out last year, guys.
Yep.
And everyone's fucking seen it. So if you haven't seen it, sorry, Josh.
Go
But
out
basically,
I don't care.
basically,
I know a lot about it.
Yeah, basically, like when he wrote it when Obama had won office and was like
Was reelected?
when he first won.
Oh, in
This was
2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote it that long ago.
Wow.
And was like, there was this whole, what he says, this is quoting what he said, it was like, the lie. That like, now racism is over.
Yep.
We have won. There's no racism. And he was just like, that is not true.
Right.
And
Obama
I'm really
is
annoyed
something
that people think that. And so I'm going to make a movie that proves that that is not true.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that is amazing.
That
and
is
he
really
did
cool.
it, but then when he ended up doing it, he kind of realized that like now with the opposite effect, that like Obama's no longer in office and we have someone completely opposite in office, showing that racism is very much alive.
Sure.
He was like, I just kind of wanted to change the ending. And
Don't be
what's
so
good,
pessimistic.
and what he said too, which was good, is like by the time you reach the ending, like the audience does all the work for you. When you see the cop car, you're like, oh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
In that
and
moment,
that's-
I was thinking.
that's exactly
I think
what-
what most people were thinking,
Yeah.
like, oh no, here are the cops
the
to
terrible ending.
to the rescue, but they're gonna shoot the black guy.
Right, and then
Yeah.
that is what he changed.
Right.
Yeah, and he did a
Right.
really good job. So like that was
Definitely.
fantastic.
Cool.
So
yeah. I mean, look, I think Get Out represents almost like the best case scenario for an indie film because it just took off. You know,
Oh, yeah,
and
it was done for
made
very little
so
money.
little,
Yep.
and it became a huge hit. And
Yeah.
it's I
Yeah,
definitely,
look at this fucking guy, this fucking Daniel Kaluuya. He's like number one on the short list of people that they want to replace Daniel Craig for 007.
Really?
Like this
That's
kid,
awesome.
This dude's fucking killing it.
Yeah.
It's like John Boyega. John Boyega was in Attack the Block, and then he was in
cuts
Star
years
Wars.
later, he was in Star
and then
Wars.
and then he's in Star Wars, and now he's set.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's-
that is a great thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad.
and also
remember, man.
I found out because I've been following his stuff for a while now. Like he started out in like Skins in England with
Kaluuya?
Kaluuya, yeah, no,
Kaluuya.
Kaluuya.
Cool,
Yeah, and he also did, like with Dev Patel and
Oh,
what
yeah.
they were
Oh,
doing.
wow.
Like it was a Channel 4 show on BBC, and so like they were trying to do something different. So they were having a lot of the cast actually write their own stories, and so he then went into writing, and now he is actually looking into actually making his own projects. He's he's already writing, apparently. He's working on scripts, so that's really cool too. He's not just a really good actor.
No, yeah, he was in Black Panther. You know. What I
Yeah,
mean?
he was really
Yeah.
good looking there. Yeah,
He's doing really, really well.
yeah,
A lot
and
of
clearly
these guys-
has no problem, which a lot of English actors do, is like changing their accents with like such ease, where I think American actors, it's a big issue.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
there's some people that can, they're exceptions, but like mostly the British
Like Saoirse.
and she's Irish, but
Yeah,
mostly like the European actors have no problem fading into Kate Blanchett. Has no issue changing her
It's
accent.
specifically Brits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're not from Britain, they have a lot
Hey,
harder
Margot
time with the
Robbie's
accent.
Australian, and she had no problem
Yeah,
changing
but
her accents for.
That's still Britain.
Well,
That still
okay.
counts as Britain. basically.
Sure.
They're just
Yeah,
I think
man.
a lot of it has to
penal
do
colony,
with.
man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like Canada. It's the same shit.
I'll say that. Sure.
Say it. Do it.
It's not
What's
true.
gonna happen?
Also, Canadian actors are really. And I was saying that to you. It's like I don't think there's a lot of good Canadian movies or shows that I'm trying to find, and I've only seen like 3 good ones.
Something
But like
honestly never
Canadian
even thought
actors are so good.
Yeah.
Friggin' Tatiana Maslany
True.
is amazing, and she's like still breaking out. I'm just like, what's going on? How
Yeah.
are you not? How have you not broken out yet?
Yeah.
So yeah, Ellen Page. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I hope that either of those win. I hope
Any
that either
other
Lizard or Get
categories
Out.
we want to talk about? real quick?
Documentary feature.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
So I didn't see Faces Places, but I heard very, very good things about
Yeah,
it.
me
That's
too.
the
I really
only
wanted
one
to
I
see it.
saw.
Abacus also did not see, but
How'd
I
you
heard
like
very,
it? Was it
very good things
amazing?
about it.
I heard it was amazing.
Faces Places is very charming. It'll make you want to go hug your grandparents and then follow JR on Instagram.
Yeah.
I heard you.
Yeah.
He's in New York right now.
And I think the best part about it is it does have these really touching moments where they're going into these small French towns and they're making like the local farmer famous, like in his town,
yeah.
and they're taking these regular people and just really like honoring them, which is
Highlighting them.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. It's
That's
such a
the coolest
beautiful
thing.
to see.
Yeah.
People, countrymen do to their own country. I like seeing that for everything. I like seeing Americans, highlight and sort of show America to be as beautiful and awesome as it is. I like seeing Canadians do the same thing, Brits, everybody. It's the
Yeah.
best to see somebody who knows their country so well show you why they love it so much. It's like the opposite of an Anthony Bourdain show. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
he's just no, I love those shows too.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of that, where he's just going and be like, "Oh, show me your culture," and you're
Right,
like, "Oh, I
right.
love this too."
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's different when it's like, these people grew up in this place and they know the
Yeah.
nuances and all that shit. I love that. I didn't see it though, so I think.
I really.
Well, that's the
wanted to-
best part about the movie, and I would guess that the other films in the category they're much more important as far as the things they have to
Yes,
say.
I would say so.
I saw what was the name of it? About I can't pronounce it.
Abacus?
Abacus,
Yeah.
Small Enough to Jail, which I'm so sorry, whoever directed it. I felt like it was so boring, but the story is very important for the fact that was the only bank. It was a movie about this family that owns these 3 banks in Chinatown in Manhattan, New York, and they're from Greenwich, Connecticut, and they're the only bank to get in trouble after the economy crash, which is ridiculous, and it highlights how the New York state and federal government did it because they were the smallest bank.
Yeah,
they were literally the easiest bank to do that to.
You go up to the smallest guy.
But apparently the family, a lot of the family members are lawyers, so they just did their own case and eventually won.
Yeah.
But the documentary itself, if it weren't for how sensationally ridiculous the story is, it wouldn't be as interesting.
Right.
And the family makes it relatable because they're regular people, but there's nothing special about the way the documentary was made or even the footage I show you, and I was very disappointed. Like, I really, really liked, and I think it counted because it was released in December. It was that documentary, the Netflix documentary, the one about Jim Carrey and Jim and Andy.
Jim and Andy.
It was so phenomenal. It was so phenomenal, and like that didn't get any recognition.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I love Jim and Andy. That was really good.
I don't know. I thought that was really sad.
Well, so this is my prediction, and I admit that I'm not very well informed. But I think that probably Strong Island or Last Minute in Aleppo have the best shots because of how politically minded they are. I could see Faces Places taking it just because it is kind
Icarus,
of
right?
the crowd pleaser.
Yeah, probably. And I haven't seen Icarus. I saw part of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
as somebody as the only person who's seen it, Icarus, I think, could bridge this gap.
So unfortunately, Brad has to leave us a little early. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me,
Where can
guys.
everyone, follow you? I mean, on the socials.
Sure, you can check me out on Twitter at Sir Bradford, Bradford 914, and you can look at my Letterboxd. For those who don't know, it's the Goodreads of movies. Also at Sir Bradford. Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
No
Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank
Take care.
you. Okay, so with Icarus, that movie I think is the movie that can probably bridge the gap between the oh my god compelling story and politically minded thing, because it's one about Russians, which is a hot button issue.
Oh yeah.
And 2, it's about corruption in sort of places of power. So, for anybody who doesn't know about this documentary is essentially two documentaries in one. The first half is a story of this guy Brad Fogel, or I think his name is Brad Fogel. I think don't quote me on that though. He is an amateur cyclist. He makes movies a lot, but he wanted to learn what would happen if he did this big amateur race in cycling that is well known. It's sort of like a pushing point towards becoming a professional. He wants to know if he could do this big amateur race. He does the race first clean, and then he also wanted to know what would happen if he did the race again on a cycle of steroids, and could he do it without getting caught. So he goes through this whole thing to do it. You see the before and after. You see how easy it is to not get caught, how much steroids help your performance and all of that. And the person that he had to help him do this is the man who runs the World Anti-Doping Agency.
Oh my gosh.
The World Anti-Doping Agency lab in Moscow, Russia. Now, the World Anti-Doping Agency is the organization that essentially makes sure that all of the athletes are clean for the Olympics and most international sports, at least ones that are considered serious. Okay? So the man who is teaching, obviously the people who know how to catch people doping know how to also do doping, right? That's the point of them. They're chemists. But this man essentially showed this guy how to do it undetected perfectly. What's then amazing about this is that midway through this story, the man who's helping him dope becomes the lead suspect in what is essentially an international scandal about doping on the Russian national team in the Olympics. And you come to see that this guy is like in charge of an insane conspiracy to have as many of the Russian team athletes doping as possible, and he can directly tell you the trail that leads straight to Vladimir Putin. So this goes from being a story about sports and ethics in sports, and what it means to be a competitor, and what it means to be an athlete, and what it means to what's fair, all of that. How much does doping really affect sports? Who's actually on it? You know what I mean? It was, tying in with the whole Lance Armstrong thing and how this guy, got away with it for so long, and, how bad is doping in sport in general? And how much can it affect one single person and their performance? And, sort of giving you like a little bit of a, scientific background on it so you can see, the numbers, right? Give comparisons between his prior performances and his performance now. And it turns into this, like, spy thriller, where this guy is scared of being assassinated by the government. He's trying to be, hid in America, and it's this crazy, crazy story where you find out that the Russian national team has been doping, with the help of their own, anti-doping officials for like years, and it's at the behest of the state. And it's such a compelling film. It's so well done, and it's so sort of out of left field that it changes, but it shows you how, one, if you're a fan of these sports, you have to understand that these athletes, man, are like, they're basically coming as close to killing themselves as they possibly can to get as far as they can, And also, it shows you the level of corruption present in large-scale bureaucratic international organizations like WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, or something like USADA, the United States Anti-Doping Agency. So Icarus, in my opinion, though I haven't seen any of the others, that's fair. Icarus, in my opinion, was the documentary that was most gripping to me this year in general. So I hope that it wins, just because I hope that the guy who made it gets recognition for sort of, I guess he stumbled into this amazing story, but at the same time, the way that he handled it was still exemplary. I think he did a really, really good job. It was just well edited, well written, well everything. It was well told, compelling, all of that. I've also listened to companion podcasts and things like that.
That's really cool.
That help, where he's talked to people about the entire process and what it was like.
I definitely have to finish it because it was really amazing. It's just timing.
It's interesting as a sports documentary, and it's also interesting as a general documentary about bureaucratic corruption and how it can taint so many things that we think are pure. And that was important. Also, just to see how fucking savage the Russian government is, man. If you talk like that, if you talk like they're telling you to do things that are bad, they will just murder your ass. Like it's no game. One of this dude's friends dies like a week before he leaves. It's crazy.
That's
it's
terrible.
Crazy. Yeah, it's
pretty
crazy.
ridiculous.
So it's really interesting to watch. I would recommend everybody watch it. But I haven't seen Last Man in Aleppo, and I haven't seen Strong Island, so I can't comment on them. I know more about Faces, Places, and Abacus, so I can gather whether I think Icarus is a more important film and whether it deserves it more. But I think we have a pretty good crop actually of documentaries.
Yeah, we are kind of running over time, so I'm thinking we should probably just close this up and maybe, I don't know if you want to finish this another day this week.
No, I think that was a pretty good episode.
Okay, so the last thing I was going to say, one of my...
Oh, just watch the shorts.
Yeah.
Watch a lot of the shorts and watch the animated shorts.
They're really, really good. And the documentary shorts are really good too, but they're really long because each movie's like 40 minutes.
And they're really depressing.
But I would have to say that, I mean, if you want to really quickly go on like whatever your favorite movies were of 2017 that didn't get nominated, like I really, really, really loved the movie Raw. I thought it was amazing, and I thought it should have gotten nominated for Best Foreign, but I could see that it's wouldn't for the squeamish.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I really liked in 2017 that I feel like didn't get attention. Like I said, the Jim and Andy documentary I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And also for like not really a big deal, but like makeup and hairstyling. Like I really hated the movie Bright, but I thought that one of the best things about it were the art direction and the makeup was so stellar.
Excellent.
So I feel like that, because if you can nominate Suicide Squad, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't nominate Bright, and that actually deserved it. Just like Suicide Squad deserved it for the makeup and the prosthetics. It's the same thing with Bright. So that was kind of ridiculous that they didn't nominate it. And then also, I mean, like for production design, like two of the nominations, Beauty and the Beast and I think it's costume,
Beauty and the Beast,
and also Phantom Thread, which I'm sure like looks amazing.
Yeah,
but like the same costume person worked on both movies,
well,
so it's kind of weird that they're nominated twice. But I mean, you're nominated for the movie, but then it's the same costume person, so it's kind of weird.
Well,
but I know they're two different productions.
That's a longer conversation.
So, yeah,
but I think it's just because when you get to excellence, like the higher skill is required to do something of excellence, the less people you're going to see in that bubble. You know what I mean? It's kind of why we get resentful about things. It's kind of why you see the same people over and over in this kind of shit. Because the best people tend to stay the best because they got to be the best to begin with. Yeah. And only those types of people are the types of people to stay in that sort of that avenue or that realm, right?
I mean, I did like the costume design in Shape of Water, but I feel like
Victoria Abdul too.
Victoria Abdul also had really good costumes if anything else, but I feel like Darkest Tower had good costumes too. I mean, I didn't really watch all the movie, but it didn't feel as great. Like whereas
they all looked really
probably
good,
Phantom Thread is
special.
Probably going to win.
There's just a bunch of guys in suits, but the suits were all real fucking nice.
But I feel like Phantom Thread is probably going to win that because it's
literally about
costume making and making clothes and designing, and like they had to in the movie they literally create the pieces and have to do like it's not just I'm making a piece and taking it. It's like I'm making this piece, showing you the progression of it being made for the movie, and then
taking it apart, so like, and also he's a craftsman, so that's the way I imagine he wanted it to be done. Like if the guy's like fucking cobbler and like he makes shoes and shit. So if he's gonna be like yes, I'm actually gonna make this for the film because also he's crazy and that's what he would do.
Right, and so like I feel like if anything that one really deserves it.
Yeah.
So it probably will win. I haven't checked on what costume design has been nominated for the last few awards, but I mean I feel like most of the nominations are good. I mean, I really liked I, Tonya. I thought that was going to get nominated for more. Film editing, either I, Tonya, Baby Driver, or Dunkirk for me. Or Dunkirk. I really, really liked the editing in The Shape of Water, but it wasn't really a movie where I paid attention much to the editing to begin with. Yeah. Whereas, like, it's very noticeable in Baby Driver. It's very noticeable in I, Tonya. And Three Billboards is just kind of like a smoother sort of thing. You know, where it's not really, like, that's not...
You're not noticing the editing.
Right. Much, and, like, the same thing goes for like sound editing. It's usually going to be like a war movie, so Dunkirk. Or Baby Driver or Blade Runner. Maybe even Star Wars. I don't know, but like sound mixing is a different story.
Well, it's hard, man. It must be insanely difficult to sound edit fucking war. It's the most chaotic thing ever.
And I would have to say for production design, Shape of Water was really fantastic in the production design because they built a lot of the sets. Yeah. But the same thing can be said for Beauty and the Beast, Blade Runner mostly, but Dunkirk, Blade Runner, but Blade
getting
Runner
all the
also,
shit and, you know, like
with Blade Runner, it was very like minimalist, sort of, with
that's
Dunkirk,
that's hard to do.
I know, but with Dunkirk, a lot of they went out and they did it like they actually used real submarines. So it's like it's kind of like in between.
But that's insane. Like imagine like you literally
and they had to do everything a lot of it was in the water.
Yeah,
like a lot of it was
mustering an actual army.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's
so that takes a lot.
Ask any person who's ever done war ever. They're like the hardest fucking thing ever is to get this.
But what I'm saying it is in the sense of like actually building things.
Yeah,
it's not really like you're already outside. And you're supposed to be going through something that was in the water. You're already in the water.
But
so you're partially
building. But at the same time, that provides the challenges
right, but I would see that more
that.
But I would see more of that as a directing obstacle rather than actually a building obstacle. Yeah. So like it is still. I mean, these production people had to deal with those people. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up, guys, because we're kind of going over time.
Watch the foreign language films too.
Yeah, dude. look for, and I mean, there's a lot of theaters, especially like independent theaters, are showing a lot of the stuff, special programming for arts, the shorts, and all that stuff. So, anyway, take care, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye.